All right, everyone, I have 2 o'clock on the dot, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Once again, I'm Laura Greer. I'm going to host today's PD coordinators webinar, and Wayne Crandall is going to present our slides. I am going to go ahead. I'm going to kick it over to Wayne so that we can get things started. Wayne, it's all yours.
Thank you, Laura, and welcome everybody. Hope you've been having a pleasant day today. We'll go ahead and start off with the agenda. So we're going to look at the conferences and the trainings and the statewide events. And then we're going to look at the monthly webinar series, and we'll talk a little bit about the assessment announcements and then PD portal announcements. And then finally, everybody's favorite part, the PD coordinator time. So first we'll do the new trainings and conferences and statewide events. And Paula, you're up first.
Thanks, Wayne. Howdy, everyone. Well, we were at our last 4 conferences for the year. So we're midway through, and the literacy symposiums will remain virtual. Gulf Coast will be on Saturday, July 24th. And then the very last entry on the screen is DFW's Literacy Symposium, which will be virtual. It's October 22nd and 23rd, which is a Friday and a Saturday, because it's collaboration effort between Tarrant Literacy Coalition and the Literacy Connexus. So both of the remaining literacy symposiums will remain virtual. Now we have a big conference coming up, the Literacy Texas 2021 conference, which is August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. The 4th will be the extended day in which the trainings will be 3 hours or longer. That will be face-to-face at the Sheraton DFW Airport Hotel. You can find out more information with the link that's over to the left, Literacy Texas conference link. And then our final face-to-face event will be the Pro Literacy Conference, which is scheduled on September 19th through 22nd. And you can find more information about that with the link that I have at the bottom left-hand corner. Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you, Paula. And Tracy, you're next.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I know we've talked about this training, teams that get results, a few times. We have 1 session left next week. It is full. But at this point, if your program would be interested in having this training for your staff, let your PD specialist know about it. Nancy is very willing to train, anxious to do so, and we're happy to schedule her for your program. I think we probably may schedule another statewide event or 2, but I'm going to wait till the new program year, let people get settled this year and get everything done, and may kick off the new year with another statewide event. But please ask your PD specialist if you would like this training for your program. Thanks, Wayne.
Thank you, Tracy. And next up, we're going to do the monthly webinar series. And we'll start off with Ms. Olga Escamilla.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Just a little bit of information about some sessions that are coming up for the Texas AEL Manager Monday on June 14th. We're going to have from native Spanish learner to GED earner. And in this session, we have Doug Mudd with Community Action and Luis Martinez with Isleta Community Learning Center. And they're going to address student outcomes by providing bilingual instruction, how they do that, and specifically the Spanish GED, and a little bit about how the TWC, what the TWC guidance states and how they're using that to obtain those type 2 measurable skills gains. So join us for that. Next slide. And then we have the upcoming topics. We have July the 12th, Ability to Benefit Part 1, and August 16th, Ability to Benefit Part 2. So Part 1 is going to be the basic foundation and a lot of information about ability to benefit and how adult ed can possibly take advantage of that for our students. And then Part 2 is going to be more information actually from a program, for an adult ed program, not in a community college, that is working with the community college to take advantage of the ability to benefit. So we'll have that program and also the financial aid person from the college to give us information about how financial aid has to buy into this in order for this to work for our students. So join us July 12th and August 16th for these 2 great sessions. I think it's going to be some great information. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Olga. Next up is Krista with Teacher Tuesday.
Good afternoon, everyone. This June's Teacher Tuesday is going to be a little bit different. We are calling it a special series. We are going to be having 2 Teacher Tuesday sessions, one June 1st and the other June 15th. And the time that you see is incorrect, and I apologize for that. It's actually going to be 11 to 12, so an hour earlier than normal, 11 to 12. But we are going to have a special presenter from Maryland coming in, and she is going to talk about getting re-energized and re-motivated together. So part 1 on June 1st is time to celebrate, and part 2 is looking ahead on June 15th. And I just think these are excellent sessions to get us started for June 1st and 15th in our new program year that will start July 1st. Get yourselves re-energized and motivated. So thank you. And then this is my standard announcement. Please send us your topics and suggestions with this link so that we can make sure that we are meeting the needs of your teachers. Thank you.
Okay, next up is going to be Olga Escamilla again with Workforce Wednesday.
Thank you, Wayne. So join us this coming week, May 19th. Jennifer McNabb is going to be presenting on student life pathways, contextualizing student learning and engagement. So she's going to outline some ways instructors who teach in the correctional environment can enhance their teaching practices in socially and emotionally intelligent ways. And it's not only for those with corrections, it could be applied in any classroom. So this session kind of complements the one from January, but you didn't have to attend to join this session. So join us for some great information on social and emotional intelligence. And then we have June 16th, Victoria Hinojosa and Jasmine Grabowski. They are with the Gulf Coast Workforce Solutions, and they're going to be introducing the new mytexascareer.com. So that's a new interface for job seekers. It was rolled out January 2021, and it kind of interfaces with work in Texas. So mytexascareers.com, great for our students. So join us. Thank you, Wayne. And this slide just has information about the upcoming dates.
Okay, and next is Anne Marie with
All
Tech and
right.
Tell.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I am so excited that we're almost around the corner to June. I know that we've talked about our June Tech and Tell webinars here for the last month or two. And I am very excited that Ashley is going to be coming back to present on HyperDocs. And we've talked about this before, but I realized just as a reminder that it's going to be 2 different webinars. One on June 11th is going to be HyperDocs for beginners. So that is going to be for teachers that are very new to HyperDocs and really want that. What is it? What is it used for? And so that would be one that the teachers could go to if they're not familiar with HyperDocs. June 18th is a different webinar. This is HyperDocs taking it to the next level. And this would be for teachers who have been using HyperDocs, but want to take their skills up a notch to the next level. With that being said, if you've got teachers that want to do both, there's 3 hours of Lit PD available. So if you have teachers that still need that professional development, there's 3 hours in June. Okay, so there's still plenty of room. There are 13 to 14 people registered already for both of them, but we need to get more registered. So we're looking forward to June. So, all right. So Wayne, next slide. All right. So there is a lot coming up. and I should have the topic soon. But I do want to put some dates on everyone's radar. So we know June 11th and June 18th is going to be Ashley's webinars, but we will also have a Tech and Tell on June 9th or June 30th. Next month's PD coordinator webinar, I'll be able to tell you what date that is. So we'll be back in July, excuse me, on the 9th or the 30th. Now we also have webinars scheduled on August 13th and August 27th, and we're going to be redoing 2 Tech and Tells on ReadWorks. So that's going to be part 1 and part 2. Descriptions are coming soon. And then we also have webinars already ready for September 10th and September 17th. And so more on that in the coming months. But I wanted you to see those dates in coming up. So we've got July, August, and September dates down for you all. Thank you, Wayne. And now we have just a reminder that we are always looking for suggestions, and you can email us directly. And I know we put our emails in the chat pod. Thank you so much, Laura. And I'm always looking for suggestions too. One of the presenters that will be presenting in August was actually a recommendation through one of the PD coordinators. So very excited about that. So we love suggestions. If there's something that you want to see on Tech and Tell, please email me and let me know your tech stars at your local program. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Anne Marie. And now it's time to check and see whether anybody has any questions for us to answer.
Wayne, we have not had anything come in. I think we're all just taking in some great information about upcoming webinars. I will keep watching the chat pod though.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move on to the assessment trainings with, of course, our favorite assessment TOT person, Tracy Hendricks.
Oh, Wayne, you're funny. Okay, so I wanted to share that we have heard several programs have asked me when we're going to have a Best Literacy TOT. As you know, Best Literacy cannot be administered remotely, so we had not focused on that due to COVID, obviously. So I realize a lot of you are going back to face-to-face classes and testing, and we are going to offer this summer. So we're going to deliver it virtually. I don't have dates just yet, but we'll deliver it virtually. We got permission from Cal to do this. Heather, I knew you would say yay. We've got permission from Cal to do this, but again, you know, Best Literacy is not to be administered remotely, just face-to-face. So we will let you know as soon as we get some dates pinned down. We're talking with the trainer right now to get some dates going. It could be, you know, toward the end of June, mid-June, or in July, trying to get y'all ready for the new program year when you have students to assess again. So, and I just wanted to say thank you all for the support for the assessments that we did in April. The TOTs, we went through a lot of assessments, and your participants were great. We did the first Best Plus TOT, and it will take time for them to get certified, but we had a great group of participants and it went really, really well. And Cal was very pleased. So we know that this could be an option going forward. So thank you, Heather. So anyway, thank you for your support. And Wayne, back to you.
Okay, I guess we figured there'd be a lot of questions here, but I'm not seeing anything come in the chat pod. If you do have any, go ahead and chat them in there, and Laura will interrupt us and we can get an answer for you. So we'll go to the new courses that have been put in the PD portal with Katie.
Howdy, everyone. We have 9 new courses. No, maybe that's wrong. I don't think we have 9. We have a lot of new courses. We have Manager Monday, Leaders as Teachers, which I will say was fantastic. I was there for that one. Teacher Tuesday, Teaching Skills That Matter, Workforce Wednesday, Social and Emotional Intelligence in Corrections Part 2. We also have Workforce Wednesday, Destination Employment GPS to Job Success. And then we have actually 3 tech and tells. We have utilizing an online bulletin board, using Padlet Part 2, but we also have the CK12 digital resources for educators Part 1 and Part 2. So please check them out. And as a reminder, if you or your staff cannot make these live webinars, they are recorded, or these series are recorded and published into the PD portal within about 4 to 6 weeks. All right. The other thing I wanted to draw to everyone's attention is the IET compliance and costs. If you're looking for this one, it was called IET Compliance and Costs, Show Me the Money. It took place on March 26th. You can find it on our TCall TWC website, and I can put the link here in the chat pod. But whenever you get to the page that I put into the chat pod, you will go down to integrated education and training, and it'll be that first recording. You can see there on the screen where it says recording. You click on it and you can check it out. It's one of our informational webinars.
Thank you, Katie. And I see there's a question in the chat pod, Laura. Do we want get Tracy to answer that before we move on?
Yes, that's fine. So Tracy, Tara asks, has Best Lit refresher training been waived for Best Lit proctors due to the pandemic? The refresher training isn't on the revised assessment chart approved by TWC.
Right. Good question, Tara. And no, it hasn't been waived. And the reason there's nothing in that column except for Best Plus, which is very prescriptive, as we know, for by Cal, is that it is up to the program and the trainer to decide. Like, we don't have a prescribed refresher training for TABE, CASAS, or Best Literacy at this point. It's kind of up to the trained trainer and the program to decide, you know, when to do it and what needs to be covered. Some proctors might need more focusing on scoring, and with Best Literacy, that's usually a good idea to just go over the scoring process again, because that can get lax after a couple of years. But good question. That's kind of why it's not listed on that chart, though, because it's up to the program and the local trainer to do the refresher as based on what the needs of the program are. So does that make sense? Does that help? It's not been waived. So.
Hi, Tracy. This is Tara. Yes, it makes sense. So
Okay.
if a proctor's certificate has been past 2 years,
Right.
are you saying that that will be up to the program to provide another training or not?
Well, yes, exactly. Or since you're in the HGAC consortium, maybe there's, you know, a trainer with HGAC that could do that for your program, or if you have a local trainer. And sometimes for Best Literacy, since the training is only 3 hours to start with, just doing the training again can be helpful. And again, the scoring is what needs to be really concentrated on after a couple of years of testing, just to make sure they're doing it correctly. Do you have a local trainer? I don't.
If we do have, I'm sorry, what did you ask
Do you have
me?
a local? Yes.
Yes, I do have a Best Let TOT
Okay.
in the program. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would get with her and talk with her about doing a refresher for your staff based on the materials that she has.
Okay. Thank you, Tracy.
Okay. Try not to get in things in a too big of a square box. We try to let the local program kind of decide what they need on these refreshers, so that we're not having to be in a box. I know the box is sometimes helpful, but you know, we want to give you the ability to decide what your proctors need to be refreshed on. So, okay, I'm done, Wayne.
Thank you, Tracy. That was good information. We're going to move on next to Laura is going to talk to us about one of the PD portal offerings.
Hi again, everyone. So this is just a standard reminder slide that goes in the PD coordinator's slide deck around this time each year. Understanding Principles of Adult Learning. That is one of very few courses in the PD portal that have a hand-graded component to it. And because of that, we typically limit or cut off the date when it can be requested and then submitted when we start to get to the end of the program year. So as of June 18th, that is a Friday, it will no longer be available for request or assignment. So if someone goes looking for it, they won't be able to find it in the PD portal to request it for their own transcript or to assign it to a team member's transcript. And then from there, participants have an additional week to finish and submit their final tests, because again, these are hand graded. So as of June 25th, we ask that things be submitted so that there is time for members of our team to grade those tests and get them turned back around to the participant. So then we have a did you know reminder down here. So we have it set up in the PD portal. Well, I say we, Katie has set it up in the PD portal so that feedback is sent out to participants who have not passed the test. So they've taken the test, they've submitted it, it's been graded, they have not received the passing score of 80% or higher. So those participants each week, I believe it's on a Monday, get an email from the PD portal that just provides them with information on how they can review their test to see what they got right and what they got wrong. And then it provides them with a, we call it like a cheat sheet. So it goes question by question and it tells the question and then it gives like a hint or a reminder or a specific point to think about. Some of them I think is even, it's even more focused than that. It might tell them what slide or what section of the course to go back and review in order to answer that question. So we try to really provide a lot of good support to participants who are trying to get through that course and through that test. But if you want to, we will let people in the field know. We will email participants ahead of time. We will put pop-ups in the portal ahead of time, letting folks know that after June 18th, it's not available for request or assignment, and then the final tests are due on June 25th. But if within your program, you want to kind of disseminate that information down the line to your staff and teachers, we would appreciate the support on that one. Next slide, please. And then this is another reminder as we get close to the end of the program year slide. PD coordinators and in some cases directors, it depends on the programs, have access to reports in the PD portal. We have transcript reports that will tell you everything, all participants associated with your program. So long as, say you're with, Denton, so long as their account is associated with Denton as their AEL grantee, then it will show up on the Denton PD coordinator's transcript report. It'll tell everything that participant has completed. It will tell the number of hours that they have earned for each course they've completed. It will tell the PD category, and then it will tell the sum number of hours, PD hours that they have earned for this program year. So there is a QR code on there if you want to find out a little bit more about reports, or if you need a refresher, or if you're new to them, go check out the Wakelet, go check out, I believe that the QR code goes to the Wakelet, and we'll post the link as well. But go check that out, start there. It's going to talk about reports. It's going to explain how to filter it for your program and export it. And then if you have questions, reach out to Katie or I at the PD portal email account, and we'll be happy to help get you set up with those reports. And I do see a question that just came in. Marie asks, we have 2 teachers that are also associated with another program. How will we see their reports? That's a great question, Marie. You're not the only case of that. We do have, especially like when you get down into HGAC, sometimes you have teachers who are working with different subrecipients. We take those on a case-by-case basis because, again, it ties back to how their account is set up. So if you'll email us at pdportal@tamu.edu, and I'll put that in the chat pod, or someone will in a second here. Email us, remind us what your question is, tell us your participant names. We will help get that figured out. As great as reports are in the portal, sometimes there are weird little cases where we just have to kind of tweak things to meet special circumstances. Perfect. Denise, I see that you kind of seconded Marie's question. Did I address that for you as well, or do you have any further questions? Yep, HGAC is its own beast, I say. It's its own special program, big category down there. Anything else? Any other questions about reports?
Laura, can I add, this is Krista, can I add something to this information?
Absolutely, go for it.
Just as a reminder to PD coordinators that just because the information is on the PD portal report does not mean that it is in Teams. There is that second step to make sure that all of the training is entered into Teams for your staff member. And I can talk a little bit more about that, but later.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you. And that reminded me, on that note, these reports are specific to the PD portal. So anything that has gone through the portal, it will show up. If you have had participants, for instance, if they attended COABE sessions or Literacy Texas symposiums or something like that outside of the portal, it won't be on this report. And so this is just a reflection of what they've completed in the portal, not necessarily all of the PD that they have completed, if that makes sense. I think that's all I've got for now, Wayne.
Okay, so it's either you or Katie to talk about the email.
I'll take this one. I'll give her a break. Just a quick reminder, as Laura mentioned, the end of the program year is approaching and approaching quickly. So we just wanted to just send out that friendly reminder about our business hours. We are available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So for example, if we receive an email at around 4:30 or 4:45 p.m. on a Friday, it may not get addressed until that Monday. Just keep in mind that we are working diligently to answer emails and requests and help people throughout our business hours. There's several ways to get help. One way, email us at pdportal@tamu.edu. You can also call us 1-800-441-7323. Or another absolutely phenomenal tool is to complete the help form that's found in the PD portal. It's under the help navigation tab. And this is a great resource because it provides us data on what course or what questions you have. So we're able to really figure out in the future if there's any issues with courses or whatever, we can troubleshoot. So 3 great ways to get a hold of us. Please be patient with us as we are navigating a lot of phone calls and a lot of different questions. And so we appreciate your patience.
Okay, thank you, Katie. We're going to talk a little bit about some Teams announcements, and I think you're up, Laura.
Yep, it's me again. Okay, so this is it's kind of a suggestion about Teams. So we periodically get questions where folks cannot find a course in Teams. So our recommendation is when you're searching in Teams for staff development, use keywords instead of an exact title. And the reason that we say that is there's a character limit in the activity name field. So we can't always, and our presenters and our hosts get very creative with the names. So we can't always fit the entire title of a webinar or a course into the activity name field. So we have to get a little bit creative. Occasionally we abbreviate things, or we have to, for instance, instead of typing out the word "and," you'll see in the example on this screen, we've used the ampersand. I can never remember if there's a T in that word, but we've used the symbol instead of the word and. So Teams is very specific. If you were to search in this instance for social and using the word social and emotional, these wouldn't show up. So if it were me and I were going in and taking a look in the portal for social and emotional intelligence and corrections, I might just look for the word emotional or intelligence, something like that. That's just kind of a key word for the title. You might ultimately end up with more titles than you need, but you should, within that list of results, find what you're looking for. You'll notice also in the example on the screen that Wednesday was abbreviated. Again, when we get longer titles, we have to abbreviate here and there, and we try to do it without compromising the actual title. So again, it's not recommended to use exact titles. Don't copy paste it from the portal and look for it. Because especially if it's longer, you're not going to find it, even if it is in there. Pick those keywords out and try that instead. And then also, and Marie, I see your comment, and this might address it a little bit. Anything, and I'm speaking specifically about PD portal courses. So those asynchronous courses that can be assigned, taken, and completed at any time on the participant's own time. It's not a webinar where they have to show up at 1 o'clock on a Friday, for instance. So any of our recorded webinars that have gone through post-production, any of our courses like Understanding Principles of Adult Learning, Goal-Driven, the ones that are built out and have the slides and the voiceover, all of that stuff in Teams is always going to start with PD portal : and it's going to have a description. TCall will not put anything in Teams that does not have a description. So Marie, to your point, Marie says in the chat pod, she's noticed there are a lot of duplicates in Teams. It's hard to find the correct title sometimes. This is part of why we ask that that TCall stuff and conference sessions, things like that, are put in by our team. Local stuff can be put in by the local program, but anything that goes through TCall and the PD portal needs to be put in by a TCall staff member. So Marie, if you go in and you see a bunch of duplicates, look for PD portal at the beginning if it is a recorded course or an asynchronous course, and also look for a title. Oftentimes when we get email questions about courses, those are the things we look for. If it does not have a description in it, then we know pretty quickly that someone at a program has put it in. That's kind of a quick giveaway. Yes, that's correct, Thelma. Thank you. Thelma says sometimes there are duplicates because one will count towards lit and the other will count towards PAL, for the same title. I had not even thought to mention that, so I appreciate that, Thelma. Yes, there is the occasional course where it can count towards PAL or it can count towards lit. In those cases, what we would do is at the end of the title, in parentheses, we would either write PAL or we would write lit. And then that way you don't have to click into the actual activity to find which PD category it counts towards. And then yes, Krista says, if you're not able to find what you need, reach out to your PD specialist and we will help you. That is a great suggestion, Krista. I will also say we get periodic emails. I just responded to one this morning at the PD portal email account, and we can help that way as well. All right, when is the deadline? Nelda asks, when is the deadline for us to submit training not found in Teams PD? So Nelda, will you elaborate a little bit? Are you talking about, for instance, conference sessions?
Yes, basically that's what I'm asking.
Okay. I don't know the answer to that. I wonder, Krista or Beth, could one of you, or Tracy?
Actually, I think Tracy's unmuted. She's got the next slide, which actually talks exactly about that.
Perfect.
Exactly.
I'm done. And Tracy, it's all yours. Thanks, y'all.
Okay. Perfect segue there. Okay, thanks Nelda for asking that question. It's a good one because it is time for you to turn in any state and national conference sessions that your staff have attended to your PD specialist so that we can get them entered into teams. A deadline, that's a good question, Nelda. I was thinking, and I should have put this on the slide, I would say by June, no later than June 15th. Now that's a Tuesday, because like for some programs, like a larger program, we got a conference session request a couple weeks ago that had 85 entries in it, which is a lot. And so that could be for a large consortium. It takes a little bit of time to get those in. So please give us time to do that. I would say June 15th would be great. Then y'all can attach your staff to them. And I just want to remind you of the things that we prefer to enter and really beg you that we enter them. Anything that is, I've got my mouse moving, that doesn't help anything. Anything that is like Taylor Literacy Texas, we automatically do that. Anything that TCAL does or TWC does, we automatically enter those without you requesting them. But things like COABE, World Ed things, my mind is links that aren't in our portal, TESOL, GED testing service. If you're not finding them in the portal, no, not the portal, sorry, Teams, then complete the sheet. It's a conference session request sheet, and your PD specialist can send it to you if you don't know what it is. We prefer that you get the description in, the exact title and a description in there. We can't read a certificate very well. Sometimes a certificate is helpful, but we need a description. And so sometimes I go hunting to find on like the Links website, that course, and I look for the description if it hasn't been put in there. And good question. Olga's sending me a question. Would it be any state conference? So we entered Tailing Literacy Texas and like the Literacy Texas symposiums. If there are other state conferences that your staff have been to, we would need that information to put into Teams. Does that help, Olga? And we don't put keynote speeches usually are not considered, I don't know, a PD event, because they're usually just inspirational unless you can prove that they have adult ed objectives and they have followed objectives for the session. Pro literacy, we would need sessions for pro literacy as well. We don't automatically put those in. So anything other than Tailing Literacy Texas, TWC, and TCAL, we would need that information from you. So you would need to compile that on the conference sessions request sheet. And thank you, Laura, for putting the link to the sheet in the chat.
You are most welcome. We have a question,
Mhm.
Tracy, that you might be able to address. Jacqueline says we need to submit Taylor certificates to our specialist, question mark.
No. We put the Taylor sessions, we put all of them into Teams. You're keeping the documentation on your end, okay? So if a monitor came and looked in Teams and said, oh, you've attached Bill, Sue, and John to, so-and-so events, they may want to see the documentation that that person attended that event. And so Taylor this year was different with the Zoom attendance. And if you need help with that, you might email your PD specialist and we can send you the email that went out back in probably early April about that, how to pull the Zoom attendance and get that Taylor information. That was different and very different this year than before for Taylor. So if the session is done in Teams, then I need to request it. Yes, Jacqueline. And if you see something, even Taylor Literacy Texas related, that you think should be in there, and we make human errors occasionally, so we can put it in if you don't see it. That does happen. Does that help? Okay, thank you.
All right, Tracy, this is Beth. Before we move from this slide, I have a
Mhm.
couple things I'd like to add, if that's
Yes.
okay.
Sure.
Just a note about COABE. Tracy and I have been working hard getting all the already requested COABE sessions into Teams. And I actually finished the big one from Dallas this afternoon. I'm super excited. So check. Go ahead, please, and search in Teams before you send in a request for us to add something. Because at this point, I think we've probably got close to 100 COABE sessions already in there. So just check and make sure that it's not already there before you ask for it. And it's a little different this year because COABE, we had COABE last year and COABE this year, both in Teams, because a bunch of those COABE sessions happened in July. So when you're searching for COABE, search for COABE 21 : and then the title of the session for the ones that just happened. Okay. And I'll put that there in the chat for you. So that's how it will appear. COABE space 21 : and then the title of the session. And again, we'll reiterate, we try really hard, but there is that character limit that also there's a character limit with the description. So we do the best that we can with that. Then the other thing I wanted to say about COABE is this came up a week or so ago, is that some of your staff have gotten documentation from COABE for CEUs, or continuing education units. And CEUs are not equal to hours attended. Okay, CEUs, there's a completely different scale on how CEUs are awarded. And so your staff are getting documentation that has the title of the COABE session they attended and 1 CEU. But the sessions themselves were not 1 hour. The sessions for COABE were 1.25 hours. So just a heads up that CEUs and hours taken are not equal. No, COABE will not send you PD certificates for the sessions. So now I will open this up to anybody to talk about how they do their documentation for a national conference like COABE. Folks do it several different ways. A lot of programs will do like a reflection sheet where your participant will list the session that they attended and then maybe list a couple of sentences about what did they learn or what did they take away from that. They can go still into the COABE app, and you should be able to get the sessions that they registered for off of their agenda. But that just says they registered for it. That's no documentation of attendance. And we've got Denise, exactly, she uses a reflection sheet for those types of conferences.
So I just want to add to this, good points, Beth, is that some programs like have not only a reflection sheet, but just an attendance type of thing, you know, a spreadsheet that each staff member would fill out of the sessions they attended. And those are things, a reflection sheet's good to kind of be sure they were there, but you know, you're taking them at their word that they attended, of course, but that would happen even if you went to a face-to-face COABE. You know, send your staff off with a document that they fill out of the sessions that they attended, so that you have it on file. There are different ways to do that, like Beth was saying, and different programs do that differently. And we might have some examples. I might have some somewhere in my files. Yeah.
So Marie's asking, so do we have to also have the attendance, et cetera, for the session? You have to have some kind of documentation, Marie, on file if a monitor were to come and say, hey, Peggy Sue said she attended this session. What's in Peggy Sue's file to prove that she did?
And you're not going to be able to get certificates from COABE, for example. That's just not going to happen. Now, if other webinars like GED testing online, they'll have certificates. So got to think of a way your program can collect that information from your staff member. And then how comfortable do you feel with them filling it out? Do you want the reflection to go along with the session that they went to? That type of thing.
But yes, Murray, yes, reflection documentation would be fine for a monitor.
So Beth, I think you asked a good question. Does anyone have any examples that they might want to share with us that we could put in the PD coordinator community of practice? Like especially the large consortiums where I know that they've got to do this when they have a lot of people going. We would love any examples to share with you. Good questions. Oh, thanks, Denise.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move us to the next slide. If you have more questions and more comments, feel free to put them in the chat pod and we'll do it. And Beth, you're up next.
Okay. So this particular one goes right in with some of the comments and observations that you guys have been sharing in the chat. So one of the things that we do get is duplication, and Tracy kind of went over the kinds of things that TCAL is going to be putting into Teams for you. And here's an example of 4 different entries for basically the same thing that none of us put into Teams. So when you're thinking about who's putting what into Teams, if it's got TWC or TCAL on it, then somebody from TCAL needs to put that in. So here's an example of FERPA training. So I was asked by TWC to remind you all that you don't get PD credit for FERPA training. And the FERPA training that you need to do, for instance, to get Teams access takes about 15 minutes. So this is just a reminder. This slide kind of illustrates 2 things: the duplicates that we're struggling with in Teams, as well as the fact that we do not get PD credit for FERPA.
Thank you, Beth.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, can we stop for a minute, Beth? Yeah, there was a comment from Kelsey.
TWC let me know for this year only, will they allow for FERPA and cybersecurity? That's exactly why we're making these comments right now, because it was already in Teams and had people associated with it. They decided to just let it go for this year. Next year, starting July 1, nobody will get any PD credit for FERPA. So the training that you have to take, the FERPA and cybersecurity to get your Teams access, does not count as professional development.
Okay, it sounded like she said she'd asked them and they said yes, only for this year. So I wanted to make sure to get clarity on that.
Yes, because it was already in there and had people attached to it. So you guys got some great questions today. So is that clear, or any other questions on that? And we've got a question slide here, so feel free to ask away. All right, Wayne, I think you can continue. Thank you.
I was just finishing the alphabet in my head to give them time. So Krista, you're up next.
All right. So all of this is going along with this slide about being prepared for June. Does your staff have their PD hours? So make sure that you check your team staff roster, your team staff development. Those are both Teams reports, and also the PD portal. Check your transcripts and active user reports. And remember, your PD specialists are here for you to assist you with all of these last minute things. Also, if you need some recommendations for some last minute PD. We don't like last minute PD, but if you have to have some, we can give you some suggestions on some things that might be beneficial. So is there any questions about that? And remember, if your staff does not have all of their PD hours, you will have to request an exemption from your program support specialist in order to hire them again in the new program year.
Krista, this is Laura. Can I jump in for a sec?
Yeah, absolutely.
So something you said made me think of the PD coordinator's Wakelet again. So if you are looking for courses to fulfill a specific PD category, so you have someone who needs to get 6 hours of lit, for instance, there is a way in the PD coordinator in the PD portal to filter your search to only show courses that fulfill the lit category or fulfill the PAL category, things like that. And so that information can be found in the PD coordinator's Wakelet, I believe. It can also be found on one of our help documents. I'm going to put a link in the chat pod that will direct you to those resources. But please utilize that function. Please share it with your staff. I know that sometimes people get a little panicked when they feel like they have to fulfill a specific category, but can't figure out how to do that without clicking on every single course and looking at the training details. So use that as a resource, please.
Fantastic. And Nelda is asking questions. We have a teacher starting May 17th, 2021. He too needs 7.5. Yes, anybody that starts after January 1st has to have half the, has to have half the credit. So unfortunately, but they also have to have their 30, I'm drawing a blank. I need the chart in front of me.
3 hours of PAL and 3 hours of literacy. Is that what you're trying to get?
Yes, that's exactly what I said. 3 hours of PAL, 3 hours of literacy, anyway, within 30 days of being hired and having student interaction. So you've got to be pretty close to that anyway. Marie, what kind of a coordinator? And Tiffany Lee, yes, July 1 starts it all over again.
Our coordinator is, he's our GED and ESL coordinator.
Okay, so if they started in April, they need 7.5 hours. Thank you, Laura. This is the chart. If you, oh, no, that's not the right one. That's not what I was thinking. Excuse me. A coordinator, which is like in an admin position, needs 15 hours regular after January, 7.5. There is a chart, a guidance chart in the PD coordinators COP. I am looking for it on my desktop. Can anybody grab that for me real quick? If you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I'm going to poke around and see if I can find it.
Okay. Let's see. I know it's in the PD coordinator. Oh. There we go. Thank you, Beth. Thank you. Thank you. I've got like 4 copies on my desktop and I can't find one. So, but that chart was very helpful for those qualifications and what is needed at what time and by whom. All right. And Wayne, go ahead and go to the next slide. This is the PD coordinator time, but I feel like this is exactly what we've been doing. So please, if you have any more questions about conferences, end of the year stuff, needing any of these questions that you're having, that this is your time to ask these questions. And I'm super psyched to have so many questions today. Okay, our Teams person asked me to watch the PD portal for an informational Teams webinar pertaining to closing out the current program year within the next 2 weeks. Does anyone know if this is available yet? And if so, what the name of it is to search for? Is that a TWC session, Laura, Beth or Deb, do you know?
I don't know. Is this, Sandy, is this something new or something that's recorded? I don't remember something about year-end closeout.
I'm not sure. She just emailed me and asked me if I would watch for that and said it would be in the PD portal. And I haven't seen anything about it, and she hasn't seen anything so far either.
Okay, well, what I can do, Sandy, is I can follow up with the TWC team, and I will just ask. And if I get any information, I'll send it out to the PD coordinators list. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for your help.
Sure.
Okay, and Kelsey said on the biweekly call, they stated that TWC is prepping the EOY, the end of year communication, not ready yet.
Okay.
Yep. And this is Laura. I was going to jump in and kind of say something along the same lines as Kelsey. I vaguely remember on the most recent TWC biweekly call, Mahalia saying something about an end of the year Teams webinar.
Okay.
All right. I've gone to Nelda's. As PD coordinators, do we need to submit anything to TCall other than the training and evaluations completed? What can you expand on that a little bit, Nelda?
When I'm talking about the training, I'm talking about any trainings that are not on Teams.
Right.
Kind of like how you stated earlier that anything that is not there and it's not through TCall, we need to submit, especially the state and the national.
Yes, exactly. By June 15th.
Okay.
So we have time to get it in, and you have time to get people connected.
Right. And then the evaluations that our teachers have to complete prior to the end of June, correct?
Right. And evaluations, are you meaning trainings?
That you know how you know how we have trainings on TCall.
Yes.
And they have to complete evaluations at the end.
Yes.
Okay. That was my question.
Okay. Very good.
So Nelda, make sure you reach out to your program development specialist to get that request form. And you
yes, I do have it. Actually, Olga was kind enough to send it to me, and I'm working on that one.
And I just wanted to throw in that the evaluations that are for a PD portal course or a webinar that we do, they're only good for like a week. So, and a good point, Laura, they're not required, but after a week, that link will go dead is what I understand. It's dead.
It just kind of goes away.
It goes away. It dies.
And Denise shared in the chat a reflection sheet if anybody would like to take a look.
All right. We are right at 3 o'clock. So Wayne, go ahead and go to the next. You're there. Here are the dates for the rest of the year, next program year, starting in June for our PD coordinator webinars. And we are continuing with doing it through the portal and your transcript. So I know some of you like to have these dates ahead of time. And again, if you have any questions or any concerns, get with your PD specialist for whatever you need. PD wise at least. And we will do everything we can to help you so you can finish out your year on a very positive note.
Last chance to ask any burning questions. Okay, thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you again on June 10th. Have a wonderful day.
Great job. Thanks so much, Wayne.
Thank you.
Wayne, you did great.
I knew I would. I don't know why I was freaking out. I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning thinking about this silly thing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But it's just me.
Well, good for you. Now you are done. Now you have done it once and you can do it
I've done
again.
it once.
Exactly. He can do it every month.
He's a pro.
I don't know about all that.
Kudos to Wayne.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you, everybody. Really nice job today.
All right. I'm going to close it out. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye.
Bye.